I think you're the only person I've ever seen that wears kilts to shooting classes, and I think that's awesome. Tim, thanks so much for coming on with us today.
It's my pleasure. It's an honor to be asked. And when you asked what I was passionate about earlier, I forgot to mention that I am a passionate kilt wearer. I uh, I I cannot speak too highly as to the comfort and freedom of wearing a kilt. It's if you haven't done it, it's highly recommended.
All right. Yeah, so we're gonna get into the shooty stuff here in just a second,
Mhm.
but I want to hear more about these kilts.
Mm.
What brings you into kilts?
So it started off at Renaissance festivals. Oh gosh, I don't know, 15 years ago or so. We'd go to the Texas Renaissance Festival during the Highland Fling, and I saw the guys in kilts, and the guys in kilts would walk by, and all the women would go, "Ooh," and I thought, "Huh, okay, I like that response." So I wound up buying a kilt there. First, my sweetheart bought the material, and we just kind of made one that was pretty rudimentary. But shortly after that, I started buying kilts, and I wore them at Ren Fests. And in 2017, I think it was, I first wore a kilt to TacCon and had a great time wearing a kilt at TacCon. And then, so I wore them for shooting matches and TacCons and occasionally out in public, but not very often. And then COVID hit. And at home, I just wore nothing but kilts for a month. And then I tried to put on pants. And after 5 minutes, I said, never again. All my pants went into a box, and it's just all kilts all the time now. And I couldn't be happier.
Does it when it gets cold outside,
Mhm.
do you feel any discomfort or anything like that?
I I'm one of those people. As long as my core is warm, my torso's warm, everything's okay. I really, at 40-mile-an-hour winds and 40 degrees gets a little chilly, but less than that, it's fine.
You're also extremely competent with a handgun from concealment in a kilt. So, how do you even pull that off? Like, what's your secret?
Well, a lot of it is getting instruction from some of the best folks out there. I've spent, let's see, I think at my last tally, I'm around roughly 1,100 hours of formal instruction. Starting off with the folks at Thunder Ranch, that was Clint Smith was my first exposure to real professional handgun training. I went through his defensive handgun one twice, once with a friend and once with my sweetheart. And then I went through defensive handgun two, and then team tactics with my friend, and then I'm sorry, team tactics with my sweetheart, and then urban rifle with some friends, and learned a lot from him. And it was actually on the deck at Thunder Ranch in my first defensive handgun one class that I was watching the AIs and the instructors out there working with people and seeing the results, and I thought, man, that is so great. I wonder if I could do that someday. And I just kind of started working gradually towards that goal, and here I am.
So, what brought you into the whole shooting space to begin with? Like,
Okay, so that's a less pleasant story. Back in high school, a couple of dear friends of mine and a couple of dear friends of mine were saying a romantic goodbye on a secluded golf course just before one of them went overseas for the summer, and the guy had a cast on up to his hip, so he was effectively, a cripple. And they're out there just smooching under a tree on the golf course, and a guy with a knife walked by and said, "Hey, pretty guy. Hey, pretty girl." And I'll stop the story right there, but you can imagine what happened. Neither of them came out with any major physical injuries or anything, but the emotional scarring from that was pretty serious. And when I heard of that, I was outraged and saddened. And I thought, what can be done to keep that from happening to good people? And that kind of got me started reading Masayub's books and just looking more into it. And so it's just been kind of a passion to make sure that good people are able to protect themselves from bad people. And anything I can do to help them on their journey is my goal.
that's pretty, you're pretty far along that goal. TDR training, I've heard nothing but great things about it. One of the largest range master instructor cadres that I've heard of. I think the only rivals would probably be what was it? So Apache Solutions.
Mhm.
I'd like to think that Top Gun Memphis is somewhere up there, maybe top three.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Top Gun, you guys have got some absolutely great crews and great facility. And you are what we aspire to be.
So let's see. So TDR training. Let's see. Who are some of the guys that TDR training would host? Like we talked before we started recording. We talked a little bit about citizens defense research with
Mhm,
John Johnston, Melody Lauer, Chris Seipert.
mhm,
Um, there's some and those guys are phenomenal to learn from.
mhm,
Daggum. I like John Johnston's on my list. I want to train with that guy.
mhm.
Um, let's see. Who are some other guys that you host out there at TDR training?
Okay, Brian Hill is one of our regulars as well. I've hosted Brian here twice before for multi-day, either multi-single-day classes or multi-day classes. And I am so looking forward to this spring. We're hosting Brian for his deliberate coaching class out here. And a lot of my Rangemaster certified folks and other folks are coming to take his deliberate coaching class because he's just, Brian is one of the absolute best shooters, best teachers, coaches I've ever met. And he's also one of the reasons why I am shooting at the level I am in his last class. Was it here? Last class or the class before? In any case, in one of his recent classes here, um, I just at the end of that class, 2 days training with him, and I was shooting at a higher level than I ever had in my life. And I've done my best to keep to hang on to what he was teaching me there. And of course, we all slide back a little bit, but yeah, Brian is phenomenal. So he's one of the folks I'm looking forward to hosting. John Murphy is coming back. I hosted him last, I think, Labor Day weekend for his street encounters, and I'm bringing him back on the same weekend this year for street encounters. I've got Tom Givens for his master instructor class. And then one of my absolute favorite group of people, Tiffany Johnson and Akil Kadir. I'm hosting them in November. On Friday, we're doing a 1-day defensive handgun class, and then Saturday and Sunday is their 2-day gateway instructor course. And I've got a bunch of folks interested in that as well. So, I learn everything. I'm sorry, I learn something every time I hear Tiffany and Akil talk. And I can't wait to have them down here.
Man, Og and Tiff. I want to get them on the show too. I got to write that down.
Mhm.
So, um, so you mentioned a lot of instructors that I would consider mentors, like Og and Tiff. They're Akil Kadir and Tiffany Johnson. They're mentors of mine. Like
Mhm.
they were one of the first instructors that showed me what a quality instructor looked like.
Mhm.
And even now, they're still the example that I strive to emulate.
Mhm.
Same thing with Brian Hill. Like he is one of the best diagnosticians and one of the best kinesthetic coaches that I've
Mhm.
seen.
Yes.
And there's a lot that I want to learn from him. And I've had similar experiences. So, as far as mentors go, like what kind of mentors would you say that you have, and how has that affected your mentorship of others?
Gotcha. So, Clint Smith was my first exposure to professional firearms training, and his talks on mindset, just his ability to control a range, and his pithy sayings were a huge influence on me. I know people like to sometimes make fun of keep your booger hook off the bang switch, but having heard it from Clint's lips many times on the range, not talking to me, but talking to others, it gets your attention. And he was a great influence. I'd have to say probably the largest influence on my instructor journey, though, has got to be Tom Givens. When I took his instructor development class in 2014, 2014, up at the Dallas Pistol Club. The folks that I met in that class and the friends I made were, still lifelong friends in that class. Besides, I'd already met Tom before, but um, Guy Schnitzler, Alex Kogan, Jamie Meyer. Jamie was my coach on the line for a lot of that class, and she is just the bee's knees. Um, uh, oh gosh, Daryl Bolke and Wayne Dobbs, Maz Ramadi, bunch of folks that are just really top-notch folks. And that class opened my eyes to what instructing could be. And the next year I took the advanced instructor course. And just a few years ago, I took his master level course, and uh, his advice to, take a step beyond just teaching or instructing and mentor folks has really kind of sunk in. And I've tried to do that to my best ability, and bring folks in and help raise their instructor skills and get them in turn to pass it on. And I'm just trying to make Bandera, Texas, kind of a hub of excellent firearms instruction.
If it's not there already, your way. So, like, I seriously, like, there's, uh, man, it's you and Carl Wren that make me want to move to Texas. Like, seriously.
Come
um,
on down, my friend. We'd love to have you.
Folks, I want to give a very special thank you to Top Gun Shooting Range here in Memphis, Tennessee. This is where I teach personally. Folks, I do not shill for anybody. I promote the causes that I believe in, and I believe in Top Gun Memphis. Come by and see us.